Revisiting historical figures, their true legacies, the screen is dark. Then, a flicker of firelight, shadows move over a map of the world. History is not what it seems. The people we think we know, kings, queens, warriors, visionaries, are often trapped in the myths we built around them. Some are remembered as villains when they were visionaries, others hailed as saints, but their real stories are far more complicated. Tonight, we revisit their lives, not as marble statues or textbook caricatures, but as real human beings, flawed, brilliant, and forever shaped by the choices they made. Cleopatra 7. The last pharaoh fade in. The Nile at sunset. Reed swaying in golden light. Cleopatra. The very name drips with myth. Hollywood paints her as a seductress, a woman who toppled empires with her beauty. But the truth? Cleopatra the Seventh Philopator was a political genius in an age when Egypt was crumbling. Born in 69 BCE, she inherited a kingdom strangled by debt and threatened by the Roman Republic's growing power. She spoke 9 languages, a skill that let her negotiate directly with foreign leaders without interpreters twisting her words. When she met Julius Caesar, it wasn't just romance, it was strategy. She needed Rome's backing to secure her throne against rivals, even her own siblings. Later, with Mark Antony, it was the same. These alliances were political lifelines. Yes, she lost in the end, choosing death over humiliation. But her legacy isn't just tragedy, it's survival against impossible odds. The truth is, Cleopatra was the last ruler to keep Egypt's sovereignty, even briefly, in a world that was devouring kingdoms one by one. History remembered the seductress. But the true legacy, the strategist, conqueror, or creator, to some, he's the face of barbarism, a warlord who left cities in ashes. To others, he's the founder of a world system centuries ahead of its time. Born as Temujin in the 12th century, Genghis Khan rose from a hunted orphan to ruler of the largest contiguous empire in human history. His armies were devastating. Yes, entire populations vanished in their wake. But Genghis wasn't just destruction. Under his rule, the Silk Road thrived, connecting China to Europe. He established religious tolerance in an age of dogma. His legal code punished theft and violence, demanded fair treatment for the poor, and even forbade the kidnapping of women. For the people under his protection, the Pax Mongolica, the Mongol peace, was safer than many modern highways. Pause, quieter tone. The blood on his hands is undeniable. But his true legacy, a world more connected than ever before. Because of him, the girl who heard voices, a teenage girl, dressed in armor, riding at the head of an army. In the 15th century, that was as unthinkable as flying to the moon. Joan of Arc claimed she heard voices, divine commands to save France from English rule during the 100 Years' War. At just 17, she convinced the Dauphin, the future Charles VII, to let her lead troops. Against all odds, she lifted the siege of Orleans and turned the war's momentum. But politics moves faster than miracles. When captured by the Burgundians and sold to the English, Joan was tried for heresy. The trial was a sham, or more about silencing a symbol than seeking truth. At 19, she was burned at the stake. Centuries later, she was declared a saint. But strip away the halos and myths, and we see a farmer's daughter who defied gender, class, and fear, reshaping a nation's destiny before she even reached adulthood. The Emperor of Gold. If I told you the richest man in history wasn't a tech billionaire or oil tycoon, but a 14th century African emperor, would you believe me? Mansa Musa of the Mali Empire controlled vast gold mines in West Africa. When he made his pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324, his caravan reportedly included tens of thousands of attendants, soldiers, and slaves. And so much gold that the markets of Cairo collapsed for a decade. But Musa's legacy isn't just wealth. He built Timbuktu into a center of learning, attracting scholars, poets, and architects from across the Islamic world. He commissioned mosques and libraries, turning his empire into a beacon of culture and trade. Today, his story challenges the narrative that Africa's greatness only began with colonial contact. The truth, it had empires whose splendor rivaled any in Europe or Asia. In the late 19th century, one man dreamed of powering the world, wirelessly. His name was Nikola Tesla. He was a rival to Thomas Edison. But while Edison fought for patents and profits, Tesla chased visions of a future that often bankrupted him. He gave us alternating current, radio wave experiments, and the foundations for modern wireless technology. Yet in his lifetime, Tesla died penniless in a New York hotel. His eccentric habits, feeding pigeons, claiming to receive signals from Mars, made him easy to dismiss as a mad inventor. Today, Tesla's name is on cars and companies. But the real legacy isn't the brand. It's the lesson that innovation often comes from those willing to dream beyond what is practical. Even at the cost of their own comfort, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, Mahatma, great soul, the man who led India's independence movement through nonviolence. His Salt March, his hunger strikes, his philosophy of Satyagraha, Truth Force inspired civil rights movements from Martin Luther King Jr. to Nelson Mandela. But Gandhi was not without flaws. His early writings reveal racial prejudices from his time in South Africa. His political choices often divided allies. His vision for India, rooted in rural self-sufficiency, clashed with the industrial world that was coming. Revisiting Gandhi doesn't erase his achievements, it humanizes them. His true legacy isn't a perfect moral saint. It's proof that even imperfect people can move nations through the power of conviction. Ada Lovelace, the enchantress of numbers in the 1800s, when women were rarely allowed near scientific work, Ada Lovelace, daughter of poet Lord Byron, became fascinated with mathematics. Working with Charles Babbage on his proposed analytical engine, she wrote what is considered the first algorithm intended for a machine. In other words, she was the first computer programmer. Ada imagined that such a machine could compose music, create art, and process complex information, predictions that seemed absurd in her time, but which define our world today. She died young, at 36, almost forgotten. But now, in the age of AI, her vision feels prophetic. Reflections: Cleopatra, the strategist; Genghis Khan, the unifier and destroyer; Joan, the fearless visionary; Mansa Musa, the builder of knowledge; Tesla, the dreamer; Gandhi, the imperfect revolutionary; Ada, the prophet of machines. They were human, brilliant and flawed. Their true legacies are not the myths we tell, but the echoes they left in the world we live in now. History isn't about worship or condemnation. It's about understanding, because only when we see the past clearly can we understand the present and choose the future we want to build.